And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is the 15th. It's Wednesday. It's October. It's 2025. Hope you're having a good day. As always, serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry. What I heard in the Fox News interview of the next mayor of New York City, a communist, and I mean that. It's not a pejorative. It's what he is, regardless that he says he's a democratic socialist. Why do we bring that up? Oh, it's New York City. And then today's, I don't know how to describe it, wild swinging markets today. We'll talk about the outcome and what we see next as we are in the midst of earnings season now. And we'll cover it all as we move through earnings over the next few weeks. And of course, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should. We'll put it on the YouTube channel of BizTV and other podcast apps. If you'd like to email me, all you got to do is be nice. And we'll stop right there on the introductions. I want to start out, do you know how I always say to you, what I love is that we continue to have fantastic medical breakthroughs, technological advancements. For me, one of the most amazing advancements that we have had, and I think pretty much a couple of times, excuse me, I should have a dump button. A couple of times, that's a good one. A couple of times a week, I know that's unprofessional. DNA. A couple of times a week, we are reading how they are solving cases going back 20, 30, 40 years, identifying people who passed away and end up being John Doe and Jane Doe. Now families are finding out what happened to the missing. And then, of course, there is the criminals. I read to you, and again, I think these stories are amazing. Headline, breakthrough in Long Island cold case as cops arrest alleged killer of a 16-year-old girl after 40 years. And they got the guy because they got his DNA. And what they did, I don't know exactly how they go about it, but they go through these motions to where they can isolate families or whatever, and then they isolate people. And what they did, let me see if I can find where they wrote how they caught this guy. Oh, he went to he had a slushy or a Slurpee, and he threw it out. He went to Tropical Smoothie near his Suffolk County home and threw the cup into the trash, where the cops who were following him retrieved it, and the DNA on the straw matched. And I guess it's one in several bajillion, it's that person. And the family, and some had passed, of course, because it's 40 years later, but the family that's left finally got some closure. What happened to this young girl who was murdered and raped just walking home from a bowling alley where she was working? I think these stories are amazing. And every day I make it a point of reading about medical breakthroughs. My wonderful uncle, I think about 20, 25 years ago, died of multiple myeloma. Once he was diagnosed with it, I think he was a year. Now if you get multiple myeloma, there's people that are living 10, 15 years. I remember AIDS. It was a death sentence. And then Magic Johnson announces it, and whatever I guess they did this cocktail of, they called it a cocktail of different things. He's lived his whole life and will. These are amazing breakthroughs that I'm always amazed when these politicians piss all over drug companies, the drug companies, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, look what's happened. And I'm reading every day of people who get cancer that 20 years ago, forget about it. Now, long lives. And I gather it only gets better going forward. It's not going to be good for the Social Security business, but man, oh man. I just wanted to bring this up because I always preach it about the greatness of us going forward if they just leave us the hell alone. And just this is another story. And by the way, again, I'm pretty sure I see 2 or 3 of these every week. Anyway, just wanted to start with that. I don't know how to explain markets sometimes. And what I have to do every now and then is I have to go to the intraday. Like the NASDAQ today opened up at 22,471. Is that okay with you? And then went to 22,841. And that was from yesterday's close of 22,521. So we're up 320 points in the 10, 11 o'clock hour. By 1:15, we gave back 400 NASDAQ points. And by the way, in case you don't know, that's really a little bit less than 2%. It doesn't sound like much, but it is. It's a bunch. But amazingly, at 120, 22,427 bottom, by 3 o'clock it's 22,7. We rally back up 270 points to be up 178. And by the way, we were down on the day at that point. And then I have to mention, I have to go to the minute chart, because at around 3:32, we dropped 70 NASDAQ points in 5 minutes. And in the last 2 minutes, we rallied up 60 points. And I keep hearing, oh, it's computers and it's whatever it is, I'm just letting you know. But when all is said and done, we care about uptrends and downtrends, bull markets and bear markets. Don't do what we did. We sold our gold on Thursday with great gains. It's up another 4% since we sold. And just amazing to watch. And that's the story. The main thrust is, since the April 24th confirmation day, the big indices, the NASDAQ 100, and the S&P. I don't count the Dow even though it's a big indice, but we can throw the Dow in there also. And it is pretty much amazing. That was the confirmation day. A couple of weeks later, you got back above the 50-day moving average, and not one day have you broke below it. And in fact, last Friday, you went down to it and gapped right back up this Monday. Yesterday, we went right down to it and reversed. And then today, we got what we got today, and we'll get into it in a minute. It is, I don't want to use the term, the word amazing. Let's use the word quite, 2 words, quite unusual. Up next, outcome, the markets. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So the Dow finished down today 17, which is not a big deal, except at one time today, and you know what, I didn't realize this, but now I realize it. It hit 46,693. It was up 423 points at one time today, if my rusty abacus is working. So to finish down after being up 400 and something, normally I would be saying to you, that's not good. A reversal like that is not good. But I'm not going to say that because recently we've had that and we would just gap up the next day. Let's just say we would rather be down early and up late, but what can I tell you? In the Dow today, as I am looking, being down 17, not a lot of movement on an individual basis, but obviously on the day, it was quite. But the S&P was up 26, and the reason is technology. The semiconductors were up 196 points today. That's a big move, 3%. And of course, did that also. In fact, and again, at around 11 and change, it hit 67.80. The semiconductors. That means it was up 210 points. Couple hours later, it hit 66.33. What? Dropped 145, 150 points. And rallied back to be up 196 on the day. And what was the story? And this is the interesting part of the equation. ASML. So in case you don't know, this is a Dutch manufacturer. Circuits, semiconductor equipment. That was up on the open today. 60. Right around the open. And only finished up 26. But yet nothing else really sold off. And here's another interesting point. It was a major deceleration of earnings and sales for ASML from previous quarters. They missed the revenue number and they hardly beat, yet it gapped up $60. And on top of that, you had things like KLAC today. An equipment maker, up $61. And by the way, that went from $11.55 down to $9.70 in 3 days, back to $10.87 in 3 days. Have fun with that. And other semiconductors were strong. AMD got this target raise and upgrade today. Remember they had this announcement recently with the AI crap? Up 9% today. Strong as an ox, as well as some other semis. And for the record, market ain't getting trashed if the semis are in good stead. So very good day in semiconductor land today. We'll see what tomorrow brings as we head into earnings. The banks, somewhat mixed. How do I put this? Goldman Sachs today hit... was up like $14, finished down $2. Yesterday, it had a bad day on earnings, though off the lows. So a little pressure there. JP Morgan was up 8 or 9 today, finished up 4, and had some pressure. So I think maybe some of these banks are going to sit a bit, except Morgan Stanley was up 7 on earnings, but was up 11. So maybe we're going to have some sitting on the banks, but they're not breaking down. Not even close. Which takes me to the second part. If the banks ain't breaking down and the semiconductors ain't breaking down, you may have some bear market areas, but the big indices are probably going to be steady, if not higher. So just wanted to start with that market-wise. It was just a very whippy day. The one consistent recently is gold. The fact I sold GLD at... what would I sell it at? 360, maybe 370. It's 387 4 days later. And I really thought it was done, and they just jammed, and it's been gapping up every day. But I do want to say I think it's getting close. Do you know why I think it's getting close to finally pulling back? I got asked by local Fox today to talk about gold today, and also the national media. I was watching the Today Show this morning. They were talking about gold and the bull market in gold. Once the national main media starts talking about something, it's late, at least in the near term. On the other end of the spectrum, Progressive Insurance, new yearly low. Because of that, Allstate, down $9 today. What area have we been telling you to avoid? Oh, that's right. We've been telling you to avoid insurance. Not because the insurance industry's in the crapper. It's just the stocks are in bearish mode right now. Not big bear, but bearish mode. Just letting you know. And of course, once we get into earnings season, we're yapping about it big time. And we'll see how the rest of earnings come. We also have to mention, well, PNC Bank, a big super regional, that's not so good. That was down 4%, $7.50. In a bearish phase, and regional banks did not have a good day today as a whole if you look at the KRE. So some big banks good, regional banks not so good, and I think we've been telling you since the Silicon Valley Bank days, avoid the regionals. Why? Not because they're bad, it's just because the big multi-zillion dollar banks are stronger stocks. That's all. And I still think there's a little discount in the regionals because of what happened, but I don't think that's coming back. I do worry about credit and lending right now. Well, there's some factoids coming out about it, but I don't think I'm seeing anything really untowards at this juncture. Do not forget, massive amount of earnings. The rest of this week, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Hey, thanks for being here. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Hey, for some reason, I ended up on Kamala Harris's email. They send out emails, and my name is Dan. So I just got another one from her. Dan, we're asking you to join thousands of others who have contributed to Kamala Harris by making your first online donation for the Kamala Harris for the People today. Through the 2000, whatever. The worst vice president and president in the history of the world times 100. Unforgivable what they did. I don't care what they say about Trump, and you know I take on Trump when he does wrong, but nothing can compare for them on purpose to just open up the border and not vet, and actually have the grapefruits to tell you that some of them weren't vetted. And people died crossing rivers and behind trucks, dying in the heat. And then telling us the border's secure. And then dropping people off in the middle of the night out of airplanes at 2 a.m., delivering them into cities which cost cities billions of dollars. And missing children. And of course, you can only do that with a corrupt media that knew about it and never reported it. Unforgivable. That's the best thing I can say about them. Yet she's on this tour of all these shows where they're kissing her ass. I cannot believe it. That they're kissing her you-know-what. I shouldn't say that word, sorry. She wouldn't last 3 minutes in an interview with me. Speaking of that, just a little while ago, I watched an interview with one of the great journalists and anchors, Martha McCallum, on Fox News, interviewed Zoran Mandami, who's going to be the next mayor of New York City, and I wanted to vomit. Do you know why I wanted to vomit? Because he's a really smooth talker. And one hell of a great communist liar. I can smell a racist, anti-Semitic, Jew-hating, Israel-hating, anti-Semite miles away. And when she asked direct questions, he ran around them questions. And I know that Miss McCallum only had a certain amount of time, so follow-ups could not be had, at least too much of follow-ups. He wouldn't have lasted 3 minutes with me. He said he's apologized to the police officers who he called a bunch of racists. What? You go look at the videos. He says all he wants to do is raise taxes on the wealthy by 2%. Of course, he can't raise taxes, though. The mayor doesn't raise taxes. It would be coming from the governor. So when asked, well, if you can't raise taxes, where you getting the money from? Well, guess what he did? Didn't answer the question. And we want you to remember that socialism, Marxism, communism, whatever word you want to use, it's all about control freakism. You got that? That's all it is. It's a bunch of power-hungry control freaks. And when asked about Hamas executing Palestinians in Gaza now, he talked about Israel and the Israel military. He's a scum communist. And by the way, as I always say, I'd say it to his face. Good luck, New York City, because I have news for you. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. I have no freaking clue what any of these voters are thinking. Oh, you know what it is? The other candidates kind of suck. But how you vote this guy to run your city, when in the past he has called for less police, more social workers, less jails. Really? What do we tell you the number one job? What's the number one job? Protect the citizens. What's the number two job? Protect the citizens. Number three, protect the citizens. You know why we love Trump? He's right now on TV talking about crime. And he said something that I've said that makes so much sense. That all these people in Portland, they're complaining about him and fighting crime, trying to protect them and their kids and their families from the bad people. Why isn't the governors and the mayors on his side about fighting crime? Think about that. Instead, they're fighting him and calling him Hitler and Nazi and all that stuff. Somebody's got to explain that to me because it don't make sense. Doesn't make sense. You know, here in Florida, and there's some bad judges here too, but they don't screw around here. Did you see all kinds of crazy at the colleges here in Florida? You see any of that? You see any crazy Antifa actions here? See any of that? And they're allowed to, by the way. Anybody can go out and... Hey, a year and a half ago, I remember a bunch of Nazis were sitting on a highway with the Heil Hitlers. But if they got out of line, it was their arse. And they all know it. Not at these other places. I'm reading every day of judges no bail or a little bit of bail on violent criminals that go out and commit more violence. I don't get it. So I applaud the president. Tough on crime. Tough on crime. That's how you stop crime and make criminals think twice. I don't understand these mayors and governors. And I never will. Do they even care? Oh, that's right. They have Secret Service and round-the-clock security. What do they care? That's my take on the crime. And we segue back. Tonight on our webcasts to our peeps, we're going to isolate things like advanced micro devices, Celestica, CLS, SanDisk, Taiwan Semi, some of that construction building stuff for AI and data storage. This is what we're going to be doing tonight, while also, what was crapping out today? You know, my favorite, which we don't own yet, my favorite of this energy whatever stuff is this GE Vernova, GEV. It was acting like it wanted to bust out today. It was down $28. Glad we don't own it yet. And we'll be isolating these areas, and all I can tell you, semiconductors, data storage, contract manufacturing, and we'll see where it goes. What else? Bitcoin still trading below the 50-day moving average and had another crappy day today, even with the strong NASDAQ, while gold had another strong day today. Interesting. And again, let me state for the record, I am PO'd at myself for selling the GLD on Thursday, but I look backwards. I changed my charts back to Thursday. I would have sold it again. It just so happens it's kept going. But we'll see if my other little sentiment indicator of being on local TV, they asked me to be on to talk about gold today, and national mainstream TV talking about gold. We'll see if that's getting you close to at least the pullback. Up next, the froth. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Ba-da-da. So, I feel like we cannot go a day without me just reminding you of some things about ultimate outcomes. Hope you don't mind. So we have this little motto, and it basically has to do with froth speculation, no sales stuff. in certain themes. And as we've told you, every now and then you get these major themes that people latch on to for whatever reason, and they get going. A while back, it was the GameStop and the AMC Theater. I remember Beyond Meat was the big plant theme. By the way, I think Beyond Meat, didn't they? It's down to 67 cents. Oh, who warned you about that? Oh, that's right, we did. Besides, and recently, and we freely admit it, we're jealous. We're so jealous I can't begin to tell you that you've had these unbelievable moves in nuclear, less so in drones and robo-taxis, but also an unbelievable move in quantum and also in blockchain mining. Has had big moves. Now, not all of them, but a ton of them have no sales. And I can sit here and say to you, look out below, but we don't say that. What we say to you is, it just may just keep going. We don't know how long or how far. Just don't be the last one in when it does end. And of course, those three words, if nothing changes. If nothing changes. Which simply means when they finally top out and go into a bear market or a bearish market, if they continue to have no sales, they're going to all drop 70, 80, 90%, sometimes more. That's all. And this comes from precedent, the study of bull and bear markets and these type of stocks. And I can sit here and tell you, I may have mentioned it yesterday, symbol NVA. I don't know if I mentioned it or not. But supposedly they spoke to the president, and the stock yesterday went from 30, let's call it 35 up to 80. In one day, and that's after going from 15 to 30, 15 to 35, because somebody was insider trading. No, really. Well, I can tell you, by the way, it was down 25% today, which it was. But I can't tell you won't be right back up tomorrow because theme. The new thing is the rare earth. That's the next part. That's the latest. Rare earth. Why? Because, this thing with China, and we need to do it ourselves and all that. Terrific, fine. But these companies have no sales. So we just want to keep mentioning to you, we're not telling you what to do. We're not telling you not to buy or sell or short or cover. Just if you're getting noise on them and somebody's telling you about them, first find out where they came from, how far they have come, and check the fundamentals out. Without mentioning names, I found out that one of the no sales companies has a very small office in a shopping plaza, and the stock just went from 15 to 56. I also found out that the CEO came out and said, we're not going to be able to scale, for years. You know what scale means? Sales. But it still has gone from 15 to 56. And by the way, the CEO said that when the stock was 40, it's still 56. It's still going up, even though he said for years. So we're just telling you, be smart, be careful, because when the music stops, and I don't think it stopped, even though there was a rough day today, all hell's going to break loose on these things. That's all. All hell is going to break loose. And if you just go back to the past, you will understand where I get the idea from. If nothing changes. Now, if one of these stocks in quantum or whatever go from no sales to 10 billion in sales, a little different story. But I also wanted to mention for the fifth time maybe, there is actually one name in nuclear that just recently went from 14 to it's almost up 100% in 4 weeks. And by the way, that's not a strong one. But amazingly, I went back and realized this stock came out trading in the year 2000. And the price back then was $4,000. It's $27 right now. And that it's been able to be a public company trading stock for 24, 25 years with no sales. And people are still buying it up because it's in that theme of nuclear. I, who care about fundamentals, can't touch it and won't. Even though as a technician, nice breakout above $19 and it's gone to 27. But I can't call my clients up and say, I just want to let you know I speculated on this no sales stock. Why? Because if it decided to gap down 50% tomorrow because they're out of money or something, I'm screwed. And I would deserve to be screwed. So just letting you know, on the froth, and if anything changes, we'll let you know. And we'll keep talking about it. You all have a great evening. You all drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Appreciate your time. Have a good one, everybody. Good night.